Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Elseworlds Exchange, and happy birthday to America. I am Sal.
And I'm Joel.
Now, obviously, our neighbor to the north, Joel, is not a true red and white and blue American, but you know what? We won't hold it against him being Canadian. We do appreciate your
Thank
support, regardless of the fact that we did have a war plan red just in case Canada got out of line. We would take over.
And my nation is currently choking yours out with friggin' forest fire smoke at the moment.
That's right. Yes, I actually can't go outside right now because of the forest fire smoke from our neighbors to the north. But that won't stop us from celebrating a fantastic 4th of July coming up. But despite the fact that I can't celebrate 4th of July because it's going to rain. But whatever. You know what? It's fine.
We're going to do that. Fireworks off in your mind.
Exactly. But we're going to do that by celebrating one of the most iconic costumes and characters in all of comic book creation. And that, of course, is Captain America and his iconic red, white, and blue. But it wasn't always the case. Was that right, Joel?
No. As we will discover, there's actually a lot going on with the history of Cap's costume. I think a lot of people assume, like Superman, that he was just birthed into the world fully formed and the suit has never changed at all over the years. It actually has. It's just changed in small, sometimes subtle ways.
It's true. This is the suit that we're all familiar with. We know that's the baseline. That's where it all kind of starts, more or less. But we are going to get into some of the best and maybe worst Captain America suits, and we're going to highlight some of those like really kind of choice examples of when they tried to improve upon, maybe even did successfully improve upon, but also where they may have strayed. And I should say that I think if we want to try this out right, we should be ranking them. We'll give them I think, let me take a look. Cause I think there's S tier, obviously. I'm a big fan of Pro ZD. I like how he ranks his Cheetos and whatnot.
He is good.
But yeah, I think we'll follow that chart. And that is, of course, essentially just a grading system, the way you're familiar with if you went to the K through 8, K through 12 school system in North America, which is A through F. E also is included as well, which is just a step above F. F, I think we all know, is a fail. A is almost as high as you can go, but then there's S. That's super special tier.
It's funny, I remember the first time I realized that people in like Europe and everywhere didn't use that grading system, and when I would try and use that on some of my videos, I'm like, oh, you guys just straight up don't have that? Yeah, I'm speaking gibberish over here. Okay, fine, I will just go back to out of 10 is what
exactly. Yeah, no, it's true. We could do the numerical system, but I think I like the letters. I want to try it out. Just not to alienate our.
It's very video game. It's very Capcom.
Exactly, and that also reminds me of when we were talking off mic the other day about the Captain America video game and how man. I played that game for a minute, but I don't know if they had embraced the costume thing the way that Spider-Man and Batman before him did.
I think it was a little early, and again, this was one of those movie tie-in games, which means they were under the gun and probably had a very small budget. That being said, that Captain America game, not bad at all, mainly because it just rips off the Arkham combat system, and it's like, well, this is pretty good.
Why the hell not? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I completely agree with that system. So looking at the first Captain America suit of all time, there's actually a lot of comparisons we can draw from that original suit and the suit that we just showed earlier, which is the one that we all know.
Yep.
So much of it is already implicit in the first design initially. But of course, the biggest thing you notice, I think, is the shield, which as a newcomer to comics, when I was 6, I already knew about the circle. So when I saw older books, I was confused by all kinds of things. Gray Iron Men, triangular Captain America shields. I didn't know what
sometimes.
Right, I didn't even know what the hell I was looking at. But the shield.
It's a medieval ass shield.
I never liked the pointed shield when I was a kid, up until probably, I'll be honest with you, and I want to hear your opinion on this one. I didn't like it until I saw it in real life. Until it was in the Captain America movie. And if you go, there's this store in Livingston, New Jersey, Hidden Treasures, that has a ton of overpriced statues. But among them is a underpriced, I think, replica of that shield.
Oh,
full size. And every time I see it, I go, want to get that because it just looks so damn impressive. It doesn't have the blue incorporated in it like the
No,
original
yeah.
Kirby design. Oops, I just kicked out Joel there. Oops.
It is a little jarring when you see the medieval style shield, but you can understand, Kirby and them back in the day. It's like, well, that's what a shield looks like, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you mean a circle? This is a literal shield. This is what like a knight would wear.
Yeah.
And of course, if you want
It's not a frisbee. It's not like he's going to be throwing it and catching it a lot.
no, that would be ridiculous.
No.
And completely break the illusion of Captain America. Thank God they never went in that direction. But actually, it's interesting you should mention the knight thing because, of course, we also have immediately we got the scale mail.
Yes, again, is he the progenitor of scale mail?
That's a great question. I have to assume
because we take it for granted in so many superhero designs, and like obviously for some characters it makes more sense than others. Like Aquaman, of course his suit should make him look like a fish, but when you think of this is like pre-World War II Captain America. So like, I guess he is the progenitor of scale mail, or maybe it's supposed to be chainmail, but the way he drew it, it looks more like scales because now that's just ubiquitous for superhero designs.
Absolutely. And even today, there are newcomers to the genre who just go, why does Captain America have scales?
Yeah.
And they do the same things I know I did. I compared him to Aquaman as well, because Aquaman also has the same motif as well. Another thing to point out is Cap's exposed neck and more helmet-like mask.
Yes, that will go up and down. And the helmet with the more pronounced wings.
Yes. I think the wings are a funny thing. I think that they work perfectly in comic books, just like Namor's wings on his ankles.
Yep.
In live action, I understand why people stray away from it, though I'm impressed they tried it at all.
Yeah, I agree. They're very iconic. They work in comics because you never question like the tactileness of them. Where in a movie, it's like, well, how does he not catch those on doors? How does he not, keep breaking those off over and over again? Why doesn't a villain just grab them by him and shake them?
I mean, if they get that close, they deserve to be able to shake them.
Fair enough.
Two other things I want to point out really quick. One, the insane American flag red and white bars below the chainmail, where I'm like, what? I never understood what that was. It was just, but it works, and it's remained the whole time. He is a flag.
The Star Spangled Man with a plan.
That's right. Also, the Buccaneer boots, which are a staple. Yes. I love them.
And he'll keep them for a long ass time before they'll ever even consider changing the Buccaneer boots, which is another just like comic book hallmark. Taskmaster has them, Deathstroke has them. It's just a thing that comic guys have.
Hell, Cyclops had them. Like, true leaders wear Buccaneer boots, I'm telling you. But otherwise, I mean, like, there isn't much else that really strays from the design we all know and love. There's the breakup with white sleeves, red gloves, go up to the halfway through the forearm, the big giant star, and the thing that I never understood as a kid, the redundant A on his forehead, where I'm like, as literally, and this is just pathetic, but like as a kid, I always associated Captain America with two things. One, being boring and lame, and two, being on the Avengers, which was see example one. And so I always assumed that it's like, okay, Cap, from the neck down, I get it, you're America, but the A has to stand for the Avengers, right? No,
it doesn't stand for France.
Yeah, it doesn't stand for France, but it doesn't stand for the Avengers either, as I discovered, of course, like as a kid, that Captain America did not found the Avengers, despite the fact that he is essentially the first Avenger, and according to the movies, and de facto leader of that team, regardless of any version of it. Like, everyone defers to Cap when it comes to that team.
It's interesting, isn't it? And also, too, it's hard to believe that there was a moment in Cap history when they're like, okay, the war's over. Cap is done now. We're going to put him away. Cap didn't exist. They didn't think they'd make Captain America books for like a number of years there until someone, I'm pretty sure it was Stan Lee, had the idea being like, he should be on the Avengers. Why not? He was popular before. He'll be popular again.
Isn't it amazing that they had that kind of foresight? Because Captain America, like, the other thing about that character is that he is a displaced man at a time. Like, that he missed crucial periods in history so that he can then bring back that kind of like hokey but also Greatest Generation
Yeah.
mentality.
And it only
And
gets more interesting the more time goes on and the more time between the war and now there is.
exactly. But it's also like a holdover from him just being retired as a character. I think that's just fabulous. It's kismet, really. It's just the kind of
It
thing where you
is.
go, like, it's unheard of. It's so rare that you'd find a character where they go, "Oh, we're going to retire them, not because sales are low, but just because we think that there's just no
Their
reason
job
for the
is done.
character. Their job is done." Exactly. They're a propaganda symbol.
And how beautiful is it too, where it's like they put him on literal ice and then they literally de-thawed him like a decade later.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's just a brilliant move, and a really incredible like concept that just adds to the character's mythology.
Mhm.
Out of all of these, out of the S through F, uh, I'm gonna say I'm gonna give it an A tier because honestly, I think that the version we have today and the
Mm.
version we've had, the version that's made iconic and that we love today, even if it's not necessarily the one we see all the time, that's the S tier for me. It's the one, like the
Yeah.
one that we know and love, and I'm happy to hear your thoughts on that. I just think like the original one, it's great out of the box. I love it, and it did its job, but there's still some work to be done.
Indeed, it's a pretty goddamn good prototype, and most superheroes don't hit it this hard out of the park at the
No.
first at bat. But this is definitely like, okay, stop drilling, you hit oil. Everything
Hmm.
that you had in here will be recurring from this point forward. I would say there's more of a jump from the original Superman suit to
Yeah.
what we see today. They didn't change that much about Cap, but they would change some stuff.
It's true. But even the original creator would contribute to the now iconic
Yeah,
version, which I think we can also bring up, which is S tier. For me,
yeah, this is the
there's nothing
one.
better. Every time Cap changes his look, I appreciate it. I think it's cool, but it never gets better than this.
And he
Uh,
usually comes back to this eventually.
Exactly. Eventually, he always puts this suit back on. Buccaneer boots, notwithstanding, though I think that the Buccaneer boots push it over the edge all the
Mm.
time.
He's
Best
got a
suit.
slit in the gloves now, which is
Yes.
interesting.
Yes. Glove slit, circular shield, Buccaneer boots, no other changes. Maybe the belt blends in more with the pants than the
Yes.
top, because in the first appearance, and that could be a miscoloring,
Who
I'm
knows?
sure different versions, it's a red belt. I don't like that. I think that with Cap, it should honestly, if I were like pitching an idea for Cap, I would the only way I'd change the belt is the way that they changed it for Wolverine's orange and like brown suit,
Mm,
where it's like make it a man's belt, just
right.
like it has a buckle. End of story. It's a black belt with like a silver or brown buckle. I'm okay with that.
The
But
trunks are also blue, which is something that will go back and forth over the time, not just the belt, but like he's wearing the traditional superhero trunk. Sometimes they just blend more in the pants. Sometimes they're more the Underoos style, but Captain
yeah,
America also kind of has boxer style ones where they actually go down a little further, which I think is supposed to be even more like, it's the roaring 1920s, and he's wearing, like a circus strongman would wear.
yeah, that often gets lost in translation. The fact that
Mhm.
he is literally wearing trunks. I think that for most people, and as you can see in this, I think Steve Epting
Mm.
version,
It's
he
quite
does
pronounced.
have that fantastic belt that I'm talking about. But
Yes.
I think that what, if you want to, you can. Unlike Superman, I think you can let the trunks go. I think that
Yeah.
like since they're lost in translation most of the time anyway. For me, I'm
the,
okay with them
the
going.
thing too about Cap, which is interesting, is like he's a soldier first and foremost. The suit was like made by the army and everything, so it should serve a more tactical purpose, and it should be function over form. And
Yeah.
sometimes, like again, too, it's just a regular belt. Sometimes it'll actually be like a cargo belt with like
Yes.
all of his different stuff in it. Though Cap, not really much of a gadget guy. He's got one thing he needs right here, and that's about it.
That's right. No, that's an aspect of his personality that I love so much. Where he's like,
Cap is the gadget. I don't need any tools. You can drop me in any situation and I'll figure it out.
yeah, there's a great line in the first Avengers movie, not the first Avenger movie starring Captain America, but rather the movie Avengers, where he says, "Your computers were moving a little slow for me."
Yeah, basically.
So great. But I think we should go into like a more drastic shift for Captain
Sure.
America in the next one. This is something where it's like, what were you thinking? What is this idea? And I think the idea behind it, and I think we all know we're talking about Nomad here.
Of course.
Uh, the idea here is solid. This idea that Captain America, obviously was engineered as a bit of American propaganda. They
Yep.
sandwiched, his comic book in GI's lunchboxes and so forth. But at some point or another, I want to say it was around the Nixon administration.
Yes, yes, it was.
They were like, you know what, Captain America is the spirit of America, and that does not necessarily mean that he is also like a
Infallible,
mouthpiece.
yeah.
Yeah. Or that I think that they're like, no, Captain America's right all the time. But unless he's changing his costume into Nomad.
I would say, unlike Superman, what's interesting about Cap is Cap occasionally can actually be on the wrong side of a topic,
That's
by
true.
the end of the story, he ends up being right in the end. And I always enjoyed that about Cap, where it's like, oh, he's a little bit more human and a little bit more fallible than Superman. They actually give Steve more room to make mistakes.
Yes. Well, Steve, he is only human after
Mhm.
all. And I think that, like, the other thing is they're not afraid to let Captain America grow,
Yes.
or Captain America to learn a lesson. Like in a Superman comic, for the most part, unless you're talking about like issues in which Superman is like spanking Lois Lane or something, which do exist, go check them out. But I think that with Captain America or with Superman, like, Jimmy is the one who screws up. Like, there are
Yes.
characters out there who screw up, and they're the example. Superman sets the example, but like we see that like how they screwed up, and that's the lesson. But
And
in
what's
our case, Cap is the person who learns the lesson invariably.
very much so. And his self-worth, ebbs and flows with America's own sense of self-worth. He
Yes.
becomes Nomad during the Nixon administration at the height of Watergate and
Yeah.
everything, but he'll keep doing it every so often. I mean, they'll kill him at the height of the Bush administration and the
Hmm.
war on terror and everything. And
Yeah.
even not too long ago, with Hydra Cap and Secret Empire, they'll do it again. Cap is always questioning himself, and Cap is always very self-critical. And I
It's
think
true.
it leads to like endless story potential because of that. Where it's like, imagine if you represented a nation. Imagine if you were the personification of
Yeah, of a
a national,
country.
yeah, of a national identity. It'd probably fuck you up a little bit.
Well, especially if, like, let's say that you were in charge of not just a country, but like a superpower,
Yeah,
and of course you are a superhero, and you represent the country in more than a couple of
you
ways.
set the tone for everybody.
Yeah, but maybe this is not the tone that I would have gone for.
Yeah, wow, Nomad. Holy shit. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when they put this together. Goddamn plunging neckline city. You know what the problem with Captain America is, Sal? Didn't see enough of his chest.
That's true. I mean, Neville Page of Face Off fame would definitely agree with you there. This is, let me tell you, a lot of work and time went into this, and yet not a lot of work and time. Like, they were like, all right, so with Captain America, obviously he's got to protect his identity, but let's get rid of the cowl entirely so we can confirm that he is blonde.
Yes.
Secondly, let's keep the gloves, but change. We're going with a different color motif here, keeping
more
those Buccaneer
pointed.
boots because he is a natural leader. But let's give him the cape. None of this works for me, and yet I love it. And it could be nostalgia. I don't love it for Cap, and I think that's going to be a running theme with a few of these suits.
Yeah, that
I love.
even Captain America's bad suits are still good enough that they can be spun off into completely
Well,
different guys.
Yeah, it's like, it's a terrible suit for Cap, but someone else could do something with it.
Indeed, they could.
Although I would fill in the plunging neckline. Those went out in the 90s. Although it's funny how early this design would be prescient. You
Ahead
might
of the
say.
curve, you could say.
Of course, it would be on the wrong gender, because I'd
Indeed.
see this plunging neckline on Dagger and Black Cat in the 90s, not so much repeated on the male side, though. I think it should come back.
Indeed. How weird is it to see a hero adopt a cape? Usually getting rid of the cape is the symbol
is the sign
of growing and changing, and I'm darker and grittier now. He adopted a cape where he never had one before.
Right, and I imagine, like, if you're having a crisis of faith and you feel like you are less than, the cape is it's a little ostentatious, I got to admit.
It's a little much.
It's a little much. It says something other than what I would think Captain America's trying to say.
Yeah.
Maybe Captain America would dress more like a homeless person or a beggar, or more modestly. But instead, he's like, no, I'm going to show off my physique, and I'm going to adopt this Superman-esque cape.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, this is a fantastic costume just out of the gate. But my history with it is funny because, of course, like I didn't know that this started with Steve, and instead, I assumed that it was original character the whole time, but that would be the Captain, which would
Yes.
inevitably become another person's suit, U.S. Agent.
This is yet another time where Captain America was losing faith. I believe this was during the Reagan administration. There was a
Yep.
whole story with lizard people, and he's like, "Yep, I'm done with America," and so I doff a black suit.
Yeah. So a couple things about this. Number one, it is awesome looking.
Yeah, it is. But like, no doubt about it, like, it was pretty fucking cool. I see why they kept it around, even when it's like, well, naturally he's going to go back to the red, white, and blue. He's Captain America. The status quo is always returned to. But let's keep that costume in the chamber, though, because
Yeah.
God, is it cool?
Yeah, hang on to this because there's something here where we may have come on to something. Now, of course, again, it's like with Captain America, you know, you got to keep those Buccaneer boots. You got to keep
Yep.
that slitted glove. You got to keep the wings on the head and the cowl. In fact, we're just going to streamline the Captain America costume where you take the silhouette and erase everything else within it and just keep this. Like this is what Cap
It's very
looks like.
black suit Spider-Man.
And given that it came out in the 80s, I have to assume that a fair amount of inspiration came from that.
The chest is also very interesting now because it's almost more flaggish, but that little star badge off to the side there really
Yeah.
makes it pop and really brings it together.
It does. It uses negative space. Also, Black Star, though it does, you know, it's missing, you know, and I think that was homaged in the Infinity War Captain America suit where it's like he like ripped the star off, you know, which would have been a great scene to have. But I like that it's implied in the costuming. You know, you always hear about these costume designers in Hollywood who like talk about the story they're telling with the suits. And you always think it's a bunch of horse shit. But then, you know, sometimes it's like, oh, that actually does tell a story, and it's a decent story to tell. Such that I kind of wish I'd seen it in film.
Yeah,
like,
sometimes they're not full of shit. Sometimes it does all come together.
Exactly. But of course, this was not to be. Cap would not keep the captain costume for too much longer. Though, again, I love the I love how they were like, okay, let's dial it back. Captain America, no, now you're the captain. Again, not affiliated with any country. Well, yeah, exactly, man of no nation. Such a good idea and such a good suit. Although, okay, so when you make it U.S. Agent,
yeah,
a couple of things. Number one, don't you basically just have two Captain Americas running around? Like
you do, and that's a circle they will need to square many years later.
Yeah, I love that idea, though clearly based on this cover of his 4-issue limited series, U.S. Agent they were selling this idea. They're like, we can sell two Captain Americas.
Hey, he still gets minis every so often, you know, when he's got a show going on.
Exactly.
He'll get a Christopher Priest mini.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And John Walker is, you know, a character unto himself with a rich history. He's got his own sidekick and his own Bucky, and I guess his own villains too. After a point,
I guess, yeah, that's true. Although, God help me, I can't bother to care.
Yeah, me too. I like John Walker in theory. I like that he exists. I like that he's on teams. I like it when Nick Spencer uses him to say stuff.
Yes.
I like that there is this like literally polar opposite photo negative of Captain America that exists, which is another idea that they will play with throughout Cap's history.
It's true. Overall, this is the first design that I like that is a change.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't say I love it, but I also understand, like, you know, it's cool. But it also, my point is, I recognize that it's basically just Captain America's suit, but black, though. Like, there's not a lot of thought behind it.
Which was really popular and I guess really worked at that period, but I don't think it worked for everyone. Like, obviously, Superman's suit is cool when you make it black. Spider-Man's suit is cool when you make it black.
Exactly. No, people freaked out when Superman returned and he had the mullet and the black suit with the silver like accents, and it was like, that was cool, but also we all knew that was not going to last.
Yeah.
I should point out that we didn't rank the last couple. Nomad
Oh,
What do you
yeah.
think?
Nomad's got to be pretty low tier. I think it has earned its place as one of the worst superhero redesigns.
Yes, it's a terrible Captain America suit. Now,
Mhm.
obviously, maybe he also thought of that. Like, he's like, this is going to be a terrible suit for Captain America, and since I'm not Captain America, it's going to be a perfect suit for me.
I
I don't
guess.
know. I hate seeing him run around with it. I say, don't wear a cape if you're not going to fly.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to give it. I'm going to go one step above F because I think that if you fill in that neckline, this is a great suit for somebody else. Like I could see the Sentry dressing like this, and I think he basically did.
It's true. And like also like as bad as the Nomad suit is, it did have a weird kind of staying power. It was almost so bad it's good.
It's true. So I'm going to give that an E.
That's fair.
Next up, of course, we got to rank the Captain or the John Walker suit. Again, it is the suit I like the best from Captain America, but they fixed the two problems. One, they got rid of the A, and two, it's awesome and black.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, is that enough? I'm gonna. What do you think? A or B?
B plus maybe.
All right, I'm gonna give it a B as well. I agree with you there. So B tier suit, but A tier John Walker suit.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, of course, we can't go anywhere without talking about the 90s. There are two infamous 90s Captain America suits. But before we get into the more infamous one, let's talk about that other one.
Sure.
That is the thumbnail sake for the show.
Yeah.
And that would be
the
armor.
Exosuit.
Yes, I believe this was in a ham-fisted attempt to make Captain America more relatable.
Yes, this was like, I think this was like the tail end of the Grindelwald years, where it's like, he's gone too far using performance-enhancing drugs and everything, and that's not relatable in the '90s. Winners don't use drugs.
Right, none of our sports stars in the 90s were using performance-enhancing drugs.
We're socking dingers with the help of human growth hormone.
Yeah, hell no. But yeah, so Cap purged the super soldier serum from his body and incidentally hit upon an idea that they would do better later on.
Yep.
Which is that he started to age and weaken.
Yep. And he got a suit with it's the nose. It's the nose that ruins this.
It really is. Like, don't cover. Like, I'm honestly a little surprised that it's not a full face mask like like Nightfall Batman.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
And I think that if they had done it, more people would like and remember it. I think if it was more 90s edge-tacular, like if it looked more like Spawn or Nightfall Batman, I think more people would be excited for it. But like the more you see of the helmet, the less there is to like.
No, it really
here it is in like because that other page is like the one you see all the time. That was on a cover.
Here he's got a visor.
He's got a visor. It's supposed to be kind of like a Batman helmet. Obviously, it's supposed to protect him from harm, but this is not helping anybody.
No, it's also part of a controversial story, so it's a double whammy of a suit a lot of people didn't like in a story that was controversial for the time. I don't think it's controversial now, but
no, but it is lame, and it is unfortunately emblematic of a problem that was going on in that time where they were like, let's make Daredevil armored, let's make Batman armored,
let's fix what's not broke.
Exactly. Well, just because what's broken is our sales, and we need to try and like save this book in some way. This
research has shown iron armors are cool.
Yeah, and we can sell more toys of them.
Also that.
I mean, this is the suit. I mean, it's just
the angles on it are just really bad.
It's a disaster. Like there's no hope of making it consistent from panel to panel or artist to artist.
Bulky and loud in all the wrong ways. I will say though, there is a good version of this that exists. And it's near the tail end of like Hickman's series, right before Secret Wars, where he brings that one out of mothballs. It's like I think Steve brings it out to fight Iron Man. It's like, he kept the suit, he kept the exo suit, and it actually looks pretty good now.
It has shades of that moment in Batman Beyond when Batman comes back with the exo suit to fight Ink for 2 seconds.
It's totally that moment.
I loved that. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna try and pull that up too because we're gonna have to like lump them together.
And even Iron Man is shocked too because he's like, Steve is old and broken now. We'll be able to defeat him now, no problem. It won't be like the Civil War all over again. And then Steve is sitting there in his big exo suit, and Iron Man's like, crap, I'm gonna have to actually work for this.
Exactly.
Also,
yeah, Mm-hmm.
Also showing the depth and creativity of Steve, where it's like, oh, you didn't think I had a backup plan, though? Come on, a soldier's
Yeah,
always prepared.
exactly. Yeah, this is okay. So the time runs out. Secret Wars ending. This
Yeah.
is the suit Captain America dies in costume.
Yes.
Uh, Number one, this is more Dark Knight Returns than it is
Very much so.
90s armor.
The glowing eyes, that's what does it.
Well, and the fact that there are eyes at all. Like, this is a closed cowl as opposed to what it was earlier.
Mhm.
Uh, this whole thing, it plays upon the ideas. It's and also truncates it. Like, you can, it modernizes it. You know, the
Yeah,
old
very
he
much
had
so.
those redundant shoulder pads that were just kind
Mhm,
of like,
mhm.
what is this? This, it's more just like he has shoulder enhancements.
Yeah,
It's
this is
it's more of an
tactical
Iron Man
armor.
suit. Yeah,
It
it's
really is.
tactical armor, exactly. So for the 90s suit, um, I think F tier. I don't think it helps anybody. It doesn't work on
No.
anybody. But the only thing that saves it, and even then it's not saved, is the fact that they pulled it back out in Time Runs Out.
That people are weirdly nostalgic, and that Hickman of all people is like, "Look, I know I'm high-minded, and I have all these deep, complex, nuanced ideas, but even I remember the exosuit."
Right. And like, when you see it, you will freak out. Like, you will
Yeah.
shit bricks. Uh
Yeah, like, that was, like, a real, like, fan servicey moment. Like, I don't think Hickman is known for, like, fan servicey stuff like that, but
no.
that totally was.
I can imagine, honestly, that, like, it was a moment where he was thinking to himself, like, "Wait a minute, okay, maybe Cap could wear, like, an exosuit," and then, like, maybe Tom Brevoort said something like,
Back in the '90s.
There is a suit you could, like, kind of play with," and he's like, "Okay, that's a
Let's
great
do it.
idea. Let's do it." Yeah, so then, getting into the 90s, or further into the 90s with, like, some of, the more infamous, versions of that suit, or of other suits or designs for Captain America. We have the Rob Liefeld Heroes Reborn Captain America, which is effectively, honestly, there's only one change.
And it's really bad because, like, again, you talked about the A never liking the A. This
Yeah,
is a perfect example of when you change it, it gives real uncanny valley where I'm like, who are you? Captain America doesn't have that on his head. Why is that on his head? It's supposed to be an A.
no, I know, and I remember, honestly, when this came out, and I remember Wizard Magazine talking about, like, how awesome it was
Mhm.
because it got rid of that stupid A. And the problem really is where it's like, it's an Iron Eagle, and so it's kind of like, isn't that more like isn't that more like German than it is
Yeah,
American? Like,
yeah. I don't
you
think
know,
Steve would do that.
right? Well, and of course, like, I don't know, the whole way in which they told this story was just kind of like, I mean, the story is unreadable.
Absolutely. Unreadable, and also he didn't stop because, what did he make after this out of his, like, unfinished
Fighting
work?
American,
Fighting American. There's a
which also
couple.
wasn't his, by the way. He just,
No,
like,
it
he
was an old
paid.
character.
Yeah, he bought the rights, or at least, like, licensed out the Fighting American character, and
And I'm actually pretty sure he got sued over that too. I think there was a whole lawsuit over how he used Fighting American. So he had to make another one on top of that because there was
that's
Captain
right.
America Fighting American. And then there's a third one that I think Liefeld technically owns the rights to now
Mhm.
because he got sued for Fighting American.
Right. Yep. That's right.
The
That's right.
Fighting American suit is similarly also loud and over the top and needlessly complex and very Liefeld.
I mean, that's what you're paying for, really,
Yeah,
at the end of the day. Heroes Reborn suit is basically just the Cap suit, even with Buccaneer boots.
just a little worse.
Yeah, it's just drawn by Liefeld, so it's like, honestly, I because of the technical difficulties, like, we're just talking about suits.
Mhm.
I mean, like, maybe just the fact that it's drawn by him and it
Makes
has
it
that
worse.
makes it worse. Like, I can't give it an A,
No,
and I
this is
won't
also
even.
the series with the infamous cover of
Oh,
Cap
yes.
standing there, and his chest is like 20 feet long.
Yeah, it's interesting. That thing has its own, like, fun history because, like, it's it's not any cover. It's just this image that, like, cropped up, and I remember, like, looking for it because I remember, like, fellow YouTubers of ours, like, were
Mm,
trying to find out the history and etymology of that image. I
right,
remember seeing it as, like, a promo or, like, a piece of art in Wizard Magazine. It never
right.
really appeared in anything, and so, like,
Interesting.
it's just, like, kind of like, maybe it's like a proof of concept, or like an artist rendering to kind of, like, show you this is what we're going to be
It's
getting.
the phantom artwork.
Yeah, but it never actually shows up in a page or cover for
Oh,
Captain
that's
America.
interesting. I didn't know that
No, I
actually.
know, me too. It's like I always assumed that it was a cover, and maybe it
Same.
was originally going to be a cover, but they nixed it because
Yeah,
it
maybe
is.
even they were like, "Yeah, we cannot print this.
Yeah, there's nothing here.
People will be making fun of us for decades after this if we printed." Pooh, boy, glad we dodged that
Yeah,
bullet.
it's not like anyone will ever find it. Um, yeah, I mean, there's so much to hate about it,
Yeah.
and it is literally just the Captain America suit, and I think it's just the fact that Captain America looks like a goblin, and he has this horrible like eagle on
Thousand
his
Eye
head.
stare.
Yeah, and I can imagine them trying to like I could imagine people doing like workshopping Captain America's cowl, being like, "All right, I'm getting rid of the A. Let's see it with nothing. Now that doesn't work. It's got to have something. Well, it could be a star, but like we've got a lot of stars going on here.
Exactly. Now you got triple logos instead of
Yeah,
just
plus
double
like an A,
logos.
basically just a star anyway. So what do we do? And I could see them doing this is a terrible idea, but
Yeah.
I understand why anyone thought it was cool when it came out.
I guess too, it also serves as like a nice little what's the word? A cautionary tale
Oh yeah.
for artists where it's like, look, if you pull a thread too much, you could ruin the whole thing.
Right? Yeah, you that's true. If you change one aspect, you completely, like, topple the entire tapestry.
It's uncanny valley is what it is.
Yeah. As a kid, did I think the eagle was cool? Maybe for a minute. It looks like he has, like a very three-dimensional object on his head. It doesn't
Mm,
work too well. I'm gonna give it a C, just because it is one element of an overall exactly the same design,
yeah.
but it doesn't it deserves worse, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. But we could give it worse, but we're not gonna pile on Mr. Liefeld.
Exactly. He's everything that that has been said. He's heard already,
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say
more.
life has beaten him up enough.
Exactly. He's like, "How dare you? My life is great." There's the Ultimates version, which I think is another one we need to talk about because it's not
Yes.
necessarily you know, it's not a it is a redesign in as much as we're changing Captain America's design.
It's it's
It would be weird if we didn't change it.
it's also important to cover too, because this is basically the suit that the movies would borrow, liberally from.
Yes, exactly. Uh, there's a couple of versions of it because like obviously
Yes.
there's like the first one with like the more helmet version.
Yeah, the World War
Um,
II in the trenches. He's got that whole what do you call that thing? Like that old military thing where it's like
oh, the
over.
jacket he has. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't. Oh God, I used to know this because I remember hearing it. I
looks
remember
like
asking someone.
it's like an old Civil War thing. It's like it's very cool. I've always liked that design. It's very old timey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I really liked the design that I just can't for the life of me find right now, but with the chin strap and and
Yeah,
all that.
again, that the movie would borrow a lot from.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Ultimate Universe was a fantastic wellspring for the Ultimate
Oh,
or
it's
for the movies.
for the movies. Oh, it's a total proof of concept. That's why when people said for years, I'm sad the Ultimate Universe is gone. I'm like, no, it's still around. It's just called the movies.
Exactly.
Like literally down to like we took a lot of the streamlining, we took a lot of the simplification of these bigger Marvel concepts, and the fact that it's a more approachable, easily pick upable version of the Marvel universe.
That's very true. Yeah. Well, and that is so emblematic of Hollywood to the point where like I mean I've made this point a number of times that like I firmly believe that the 1994 Spider-Man cartoon is why so many elements in movies exist for Spider-Man, and it's because
Mhm.
they're like, I'm not going to read all that crap, but I will watch a 22-minute cartoon.
I will just watch the cartoon. Yep.
Here is the like kind of proto Captain America suit from the Ultimates line.
Yeah, which is pretty solid and basically what they would do for the movies, where it's like, look, it's a costume, but it's not there yet. He just took a bunch of military surplus and colored Captain America stuff on it.
Yeah, obviously the tactical belt, that
Mm,
awesome Rocketeer-esque jacket.
yeah.
Um, I'm not sure I'm crazy about like the bandage mask thing.
Again, it's they want to show it's a prototype. It's not there
Yes.
yet. He's still figuring it out.
Yeah. It is powerful and it works within this universe. It is also drastic, but also not so drastic that we don't reject it.
Yeah. totally.
immediately. But it is
Also,
awesome. Yeah.
Also, Captain America, gun forward, which is another thing about the Ultimate Universe where it's like, no, 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 he's a soldier. He's capping motherfuckers out there in the field is what he's doing. Where before, you never really saw Cap with a gun is the thing. Is like, no,
No.
I am a shield. I fight defensively.
Yeah, I very vividly remember there was a story that they did where Captain America, they basically Marvel editorial was having like an argument with themselves where they were like, does Captain America did Captain America kill anyone during World War II? And the overwhelming consensus was absolutely he did.
Yeah, he
And
was in the shit, man, in the
right.
Somme and Normandy and shit.
But then they were like, no, he didn't. And so they had like there's a moment in one of like the 80s or 90s Captain Americas where he's like, oh yeah, I didn't kill anybody.
Oh, come
Like
on now.
I didn't use guns because like I didn't have to because I was like a strong man. It was just like a weird idea and one that they threw away inevitably where they're like, no.
Which better for them, because I like that about Cap as a character, where it's like, look, I am a soldier, I was in the war, in the big one, like your grandparents. I didn't aim to kill anyone.
Right.
I would try and talk people down. I am the shield. But,
Right.
if some Nazis stepped to me, they were getting a goddamn shield in the windpipe, is all I'm saying.
That's very true. Yeah, no. So Ultimates 1, that suit, anything that was red that wasn't part of the flag is out. It's brown.
Yep.
His like longer gloves have been replaced by like basically biker gloves.
Yep.
Very
old-timey motorcycle guy, yeah.
Yes. Not thrilled about the shield design, where it has like that kind of swoosh up.
It's a throwback. I get what they're doing with it.
Yeah, no. There's a lot to dig about it. I think it's really cool. I almost wish that he had just worn that throughout the run of Ultimates. Because I would
kind
love
of
to
fits
see
that version of the character better, doesn't it?
right where they're like, we have this suit for you, and he's like, why? And then you just seeing him put on his like belts and his gloves and his boots and stuff.
I already got a suit. It was given to me by Uncle Sam.
Exactly. Like it's a cool suit. I'm gonna say A tier. It's a solid redesign. It's a genuine attempt at a redesign.
Yes.
And it works.
And
of course,
very influential.
Yes, big time. Then they went with the next version, which was just Captain America with gray pants.
Yep, very very clean.
Yeah, cleaner, more refined. This is basically Age of Ultron Captain America, where it's like
yes.
He might as well have an Avengers logo on his shoulders.
100%. He's got the side stuff now, which is interesting how they started to play with this space here. You never see them play with the armpit space, which I actually like in that new Spider-Verse movie, Miles. That's where he starts, changing it up, and other people make fun of him. Where it's like, "Oh, your armpits bleeding?"
Yeah, I love that. They also did with Catwoman when they made her like have, I guess because a full body latex is going to sweat, so we're going to have like an exit point for it. But the other difference though is that he still keeps the tactical belt. I do dig that. I like the cat. I love it, but that's a Dark Knight Returns influence that I just love.
It's also a nice way to be like, we are in a different universe. I am a different guy.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of it works. A lot of it's the same that you would know. Big A, halfway sized gloves that are red. But it keeps the belt. Feels like more of the same, but in a way where you're like, I could see mainline Captain America wearing this. I could see, but I could see how it's a different universe Captain America.
It's not so extreme. Again, it's very clean, very streamlined, very sleek, which the Ultimate Universe was known for. Also, we haven't talked about in great detail too, but small changes to the shield over the years. Sometimes it's 2 red stripes, sometimes it's only 1.
Oh my god, that is it's so hard to follow.
Sometimes it's an energy shield. Sometimes,
yes. I don't know if that does the energy shield count as a costume change? I think so because the costume itself incorporates the shield every time.
The shield is part of the costume, and isn't it weird? Cap is one of the few characters where it's like, no, his weapon is part of the costume. That is an extension of him. Hell, in modern times, I would say they have given more importance to the shield as being the symbol of Captain America and the symbol that everyone is, fighting over and trying to co-op way more than his suit.
Oh yeah. Somebody mentioned the when I say somebody, I mean like our list mentioned the how do we rank the Ultimates 2 kind of suit where it's more I don't care for like the wrestler boots.
I like the wrestler, but it's the one time they also got away from the pirate captain boots. But yeah, I would give it a solid B+ too.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I give it a B+. I remember when everybody was talking about like the Nick Spencer run and the all these and the Ed Brubaker run for Captain America, all these
Yeah.
changes. I was like, yeah, but don't you remember that time where they did a Marvel Knights run drawn by John Cassidy? And that is the time when really like Captain America's suit never for me gets any better, is when it's drawn by John Cassidy, because it's so hard to render that scale mail, but this is where they like kind of canonize it, like this is
Yeah.
the scale mail.
It's really pronounced and it's
Yes.
really noticeable. And it never went back after this. This kind of changed everything, this one.
Yeah. I love it, but I love John Cassidy's art. I love the look of the cowl. I love the suit. I like the image of like the kind of like white body armor sleeves like coming out of this almost chainmail overlay that he
It's
has
very
on.
clearly two pieces now, which I like. We now
Yeah.
see that there is a die cut. It's almost like recently with Daredevil with his new pants, where it's like, hey, he tucked his pants into the boots. They're two different pieces. And now here with this, it's like, hey, the white is different from the scale mail. I know now they're two different pieces.
Yes, and Buccaneer boots.
Buccaneer, but it's hard to get away from it, man. It's hard to defeat a classic, right?
Yeah. For me, this is S tier. Like John Cassidy's Captain America from the Marvel Knights run is where it's at. You got the belt I want with the silver buckle and the black. You got the chain or the scale mail. You got the Buccaneer boots. You got the flared gloves. You got the circular shield. Everything works.
This one changed everything. This is basically the default suit now. It's weird when he doesn't look like that.
Yes, that is Captain effing America. And then they killed him.
Yeah.
And Alex Ross stepped up to the plate and was like, "I've got a suit for you." And I remember it being on the news.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, this was one of the first times people were actually asking me in like high school and stuff, because they were actually being exposed to comic book stuff. And they're like, geez, Joel, you read comics. Can you believe they killed Captain America? I'm like, he'll be back. Yeah. They always come back, even then.
Back sooner than you think.
Yeah, right. I know he wasn't dead that long at all in the grander scheme of things.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people would be like, okay, Alex Ross is God, and if he declares that a character looks a certain way, then that is how it is. And I do appreciate and love his work, but I gotta tell you, I don't think he's a great costume designer.
Yeah,
I don't like his. I never liked his Spider-Man from the movie that they used for Superior Spider-Man. I didn't think it worked for Spider-Man, but again, that was a great suit for Doc Ock or anybody else. But it certainly wouldn't have been one I wanted to see in a movie. And I did not like this.
Again, I see what he's doing with it. I can see all the thought that went into it. More black because this is a Bucky who is in mourning.
Yes, and a killer. Like a die-in-the-wool killer.
Again, because they had retconned his origin to be like, no, he was not some Jiminy Jilliker sidekick. Bucky was a goddamn child soldier who they sent in at the dead of night to slit Nazi throats and everything because he was small and stealthy. The actual like chest piece is more armored. It's shiny and everything because he would need that because he doesn't have super soldier serum, Bucky. So he needs more protection to keep him alive.
Yeah, and of course, the thing that got everybody's attention was the gun.
The gun. He is
Captain America wielding a gun in a big way.
Because he's a different guy. Bucky needs a gun to help even the odds there. And also showing that we are in a darker, angrier time in American history.
Yeah.
Height of the Bush administration, height of the war in Iraq. Captain America is dead. This is all we believe in now.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, if you're going to wield a gun, then you don't get to have the shield because nobody else has one.
Should he have had a star-spangled gun? Would that have been interesting?
That would have been more like Nuke. I think that would have been more perverse. I get the plunging idea. There's a lot like he is it's like his suit is the original shield.
Yes.
It is essentially just Captain America. Like he's wearing like an armor of Captain America over a black bodysuit.
Yes.
It's fine.
I think it works well in the story that is, but I also think a problem too is that outside of that Captain America book, every time someone else drew it, like what was in freaking goddamn Shadowland, when him and the Avengers show up for 3 seconds, I'm like, that doesn't look good. That doesn't look right when it's not, the regular Captain America artist drawing it.
Yeah, I'm not wild about this one. But I understand the idea behind it, and I think it's a genuine attempt at a new design. Although arguably, it's just black costume Cap with a Captain America. Like it's like, okay, do you remember those old Kenner action figures for
Of
Batman,
course.
where it's like it's Batman, and then you take like this plastic piece that's like part of his costume, and you put it over him.
It's
Like
exactly
that's
like
what that
that.
is, and it's like that's not exciting.
It's
I do
exactly
like,
like that.
yeah, but there is thought behind it. Like he has shorter gloves; they are
Mhm.
red. He's black. Buccaneer boots, but they're black too. Tactical belt. I do like that.
Mhm.
But again, I think it's two Cap. I think it's two Cap and then nothing else.
They
You know
should
what I
have
mean?
redesigned it more, is what you're saying.
Yeah, or taken away more of the Captain America. Like
Interesting.
taking away, taking away either ditch the cowl or the wings
Right. This is one of
or
those
the
things where I'm
shield.
conflicted because I like the story so
The story
much.
is so great and it works perfectly for
Again, this is one of those things where it's like the costume works so good in the story because the story is so good. I want to give it extra points, but it's also like in a vacuum.
yes.
Like if this was just like an unlockable skin in our theoretical Captain America game that does not
Oh, I'd
exist
play
yet,
it. Yeah,
unfortunately. Yeah.
absolutely. Oh no, I'm
Much
not.
much
Yeah.
like how I gravitated to the Scarlet Spider costumes that they had in that Spider-Man game because they never looked better.
That's true. Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Maybe
Hell,
if we
I loved the Iron. I didn't really like the Iron Spider suit when it came out, but I love playing as it.
there's several great Iron Spider suits. I would even
I mean, the
say,
comic book one, like,
oh yeah, I would even say the Dan Slott one in the game with like the glowing green spider and everything also
yeah.
looks much better in the game.
Oh yeah, no, it does. No, I love that suit. The all different Spider-Man suit looks so good.
To a shocking
In
degree. And maybe this
the
Bucky
game.
suit is like that too, where if we could see it in 3 dimensions and we could play as it.
Yeah, if I could see it in video game high def, I think it would be gorgeous. In this, it's as a costume for Captain America. Again, like it's one of those things where I don't think it works. Like for
C,
anybody else, you can't translate that to anybody else.
probably not. C tier.
Yeah, I'd say, maybe even charitably a B tier, but it's,
And I would
I'd say C.
and I would say less people are nostalgic for this suit than they are some of the other ones.
No one talks about it.
It
It's
doesn't come back near as much. I think it came back one time in Cantwell's United States of Captain America. Bucky put it on for some reason. And even then, it was a stretch for him to put it on where it's like, what's wrong with the suit you have, man?
yeah, no, it's weird. It's weird. Speaking of Steve, continuing with Steve, there was would you call it the Secret Empire suit? This is the suit where it's more streamlined. I think Sam is Cap at this point.
Yes, they were both at this time. They were trading off. They were both, and then they would make him Falcon again, and now they're both Captain America again. I really like this Nick Spencer era suit. I think it's a really solid redesign. I think it's also kind of a shame that this one will go down as the Hydra Cap suit, as the Nazi traitor captain suit, where it's almost like no one ever touched it again because of its connection to that story. And technically, he had two. He had this one, then he had the way more aggressive Hydra one that was yellow and green, and also had a full face mask and everything.
Yeah.
Actually, no, he brought up the exosuit for that too, because he colored it different when he fought the Avengers. So he actually had a version of the exosuit.
Oh, I know. No, that's another one that has to go in there because it was Captain America, which is the exosuit,
Yeah,
the green suit.
Oh, look how evil and wrong that is.
It's terrible. I think that if you wanted to make like I think it works for John Walker.
See, I appreciate it from a story point of view. It's like, yeah, of course it's loud and gaudy and over the top. He's a fascist. That's
right,
what
exactly.
They do. This is absolutely what a fascist would design.
Right. They're not going to get good like designers to make this thing.
I mean, Hugo Boss tried. Hugo Boss offered, some color swatches and everything, and Steve is like, "No, I'm good."
Yeah, no, I'm okay. Yeah, I think that the what would become Hydra Cap's suit is, for me, it's a little bland. I think it's a little too blue. I think there's a lot of blue in there.
It's definitely more blue over anything else.
But and a little not complicated, but like Cap's suit is so perfect.
There's a lot of weird little flares onto it. It's like
he's got stuff like
he's got red, but only a little, and there's some brown in there and knee pads.
The smatterings of brown, the knee pads, like these random like compartments. Like Cap doesn't really need all that. Like he's got the belt. You don't need more compartments.
The shield is back to being a medieval shield, and now there's black around the star.
Right? What's that all about? I mean, it's just
Is that foreshadowing that a black cloud is, around Captain America? Was
I
that
mean,
Spencer telling us without telling us?
it has to be, right? And I think honestly, like again, this is a good suit for John. I think that Walker can inherit the suit and it's no complaints,
It's
but
sad
it's
too is that they killed off that evil Cap, which means even he can't wear it anymore. Stevel.
yeah. Yeah, we're not gonna get Stevel back. I
No,
know.
they fucking killed him really hard.
Uh-huh.
They
Uh
burnt him up. They're like, he's dead. He is ashes now, everyone.
yeah, like okay. The as far as the bluer suit, is concerned, I think I'd give it a B just for its thanks for the effort,
It's
you
it's
know?
one of the few times the suit really felt fresh and new in like many
Yes.
years where it's like, oh, you're taking chances with this. You're swinging for the fences on this one.
Yeah, it is a different design. It is certainly more modern, like it represents today
It also
more,
allowed Sam's costume to be the more traditional Cap looking one for the time, which I
right?
enjoyed.
But even then his suit it gets a little it's there's a lot going on in it,
There
you
is.
know?
Well, sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't. Originally, it had more going on. This one is more just traditional Captain America, but with wings.
Yes, exactly.
And a lot of movie reference, too. He's got the movie referenced goggles and
Goggles,
boots.
yeah. No,
He,
that's
he has
true.
more blue on the outside of the shield to show his is different.
Right, yeah, yeah.
They they play they play with that a lot too. Should Sam's shield be different? Again, in that Cantwell book, he had a black star on his.
Oh, yeah, that's right, that's
It
right.
lasted one run and then they never brought it back. I'm like, oh no, there was something cool about that.
Yeah, yeah. No,
His should
there's
be a little different. It's the chess piece I like because it's the Agent Steve chess piece he has,
yes,
which
it
is a
is.
fucking cool suit unto itself.
It is, it absolutely is. Yeah, the Falcons are this Captain America suit, I think works really well. Although I might be more inclined to go further, like
Hmm.
less traditional with it.
Right.
But
And they kind of have in the new version in the
yeah,
book that's out right now. They've given him some more flair. They've kind of moved away from it. He's made it more his own, and also it looks a lot like the one from the TV show and the movie.
yeah, that's fair. Um, and that's pretty much it. I mean, outside of the movie versions, like those are the big ones. Those are the
Yeah.
big changes, the big shifts for Captain America, and yeah, outside of movies and serials and cartoons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But again, so with Falcons, how Sam Wilson, how would you rank his?
I
I
would
think
give
it's
him.
yeah, A.
Yeah, I would give it an A. I think they did really good, and they really could have screwed it up. I think they knew how important it was,
Yeah.
and that they had to do it right, and they had to do it justice. We didn't actually cover the Agent Steve one, the one that's all blue with a
Oh yeah,
little
yeah,
white.
the Agent Steve. Okay, yeah.
Because I would say that's actually my favorite alternate suit. I would say that is S tier. That's like, Nightwing going from like the disco collar and the yellow to the Nightwing we love now, where it's like, oh, this is just so slick and clean. And again, Steve brings it back every so often because writers know that's a fucking cool suit.
Yeah. You're talking about the suit that he would wear when he was like leader of Shield and stuff like that.
Yes, and the one that they would just full on take for the beginning of Winter Soldier.
Big time.
I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just good. There's just like a lot about it, and it's so minimalist.
Yeah. No, it's simple, but like it's funny because oops, that's the S tier. It's the tier list. Oh, what the hell? Oh.
Yeah, there's just something about it where it's like, yeah, we're honoring the part of Steve that's a soldier. Now we're honoring the part that's a spy.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. I don't consider it a Captain America suit.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's just like what Steve wore when he was working it. Like, I think that there was a part of them at Marvel that wanted him to wear his to wear a straight up Agent of Shield suit, like a Nick Fury outfit.
It kind of is, and even in the Coates run, when Captain America forsakes America yet again to go on the run, he puts this on.
Yeah, it's cool. It has a good look.
No mask.
No mask. I like that a lot, and of course, like so does the movie.
Very much so.
Yeah, it's a smart move. It's a cool outfit. I don't know if it's Captain America.
I mean, it is, I think, officially known as the Agent Steve Rogers outfit.
There you
So
go. Yeah.
So maybe it's not even a Captain America suit, but I really like it just for how slick it is and how different it is. And again, you could spin that suit off to a totally different guy and it would actually work.
That's fair. Yeah. I would love to see
Hey,
it.
Nomad, how about you pick this up by Ian Rogers when you're not Nomad anymore? Wear this.
Yeah. I think I would also like to see Steve in a Nick Fury suit. I just want to
That would
see
also
what
be
that
good.
looks like.
He's never worn a trench coat. How interesting is that? In his whole career, they've never once put him in a trench coat. How about
No,
that?
close enough. They give him a cape.
Yeah.
How would you rank the Agent Steve? I think. I'll give it an A because I think it's a good suit. It's a good design. I like how consistently they've managed to render the circle, star, and those stripe thingies.
And it keeps. I would argue that it probably comes back more than any other suit too.
Easily. No, yeah, definitely more than the U.S. Agent suit that we know and love.
Sure does. I mean, I would give it an A to not be blinded by my own personal preferences and bias. But I mean, if I was just going off solely on my gut and my heart and my feelings and everything, I would be like, oh, it's an S suit. It's so cool.
Yeah. Well, and it would definitely be in the video game. If they made the video game, it would be in it.
It has to be there. If it wasn't, I'd be like, what the hell are you even doing?
Exactly. Jumping into the super chats really quick before we wrap up here. Ray Farr says, ComicPop Woo, I loved the latest upload with D-Dubs. I know the story about Eddie losing his leg. The town where it happened is 20 minutes away from me. That's crazy.
Oh, shit.
If you haven't already checked out that interview, by the way, definitely check out me chatting with Daniel Warren Johnson. He shares a wonderful story that is also the inspiration for his epic comic book series Extremity. Cool. Ray also mentioned, I remember my middle school gym teacher telling us the amazing story. Small world. I also really love Bucky's cap suit. Marvel Now and Ultimates. Those are good suits. Scarlet Hottie, classic Kirby costume, can't be beat. Still impressed how perfect it is in the movie. It avoided the comic book movie being embarrassed to be a comic book movie trope. Even the USO tour scene, we're not laughing at the suit.
It's true. They did pay homage to it, didn't they? Which I guess that's why those Captain America movies are so great too, because they understand the shifting of costumes over the years is a big part of Captain America's identity.
And it's earnest. You know, it's like, Cap wears this suit for this reason. He's going to wear it in the field. That scene, for me, one of the best movie suits is him in that costume, wearing the brown bomber jacket with the helmet.
It's pretty good. Leave it to the Rocketeer guy to understand the importance of the hat.
Who'd have thought the Rocketeer guy would know how to put a pretty man in a great looking jacket?
Yeah.
Bryce Harry had been watching you guys since 15. Have a shekel. Thank you, Bryce. I don't know how old you are now, but I'm glad to hear that you've been around for us that long. Peej, can't wait to watch on repeat. Love all the vids. Thanks so very much, Peej.
Hope you enjoy it.
Lex of Power, love you guys. It's my birthday today. Well, happy birthday, Lex of Power.
Many great returns to you.
Graham Maurer, I rarely get to watch the Elseworlds Exchange live, but I wanted to let you both know how much I enjoy the show and to keep up the great work. Thank you, Graham, and welcome to the show.
I'm touched.
Lex of Power, the birthday boy. Cap, to me, is a slightly flawed Superman. I think that's why people like Steve more than Clark, in my opinion. Cap represents what America should be, not is. Absolutely, that is what he is. I think with Clark and Cap, it's kind of like Steve. They're both reluctant heroes, you know?
Yes.
But Superman also just like recognizes like, I have to be Superman.
Yeah.
And Steve is like, I was made to be Captain America. Like nobody asked me if I wanted to be Captain America.
Right. I guess, you got that whole destiny versus, predestination thing.
Yeah. Cat Lawyer will defend for treats. Happy Canada Day, Joel. It's Captain Canuck's birthday.
Yes, tomorrow, the 1st is actually Canada Day.
Sean D. Hi, guys. Hi, Sean. How are you? Jam Call X, Liefeld Cap, America's Pecs. Yeah, those are America's Pecs. Girk Pectus. It's the first Cap-related story I read was Spider-Man, Spider-Queen, where he let the government torture his girlfriend for America. I hated him until Brubaker.
He's had some bad years, Cap, as all characters do.
Yeah, that's fair. The evil mathematician, Liefeld's Cap made me think of Wonder Woman. Well, I can't imagine why. 343 Burning Legion Cap. Of course I didn't kill people during the war, because Nazis aren't people. Sean D. I love Bucky's suit. I don't like the aluminum reflective bit, though. I kind of wish the texture was portrayed differently. Oh, don't worry. In the comics, it consistently was.
Yeah, because, again,
however the hell they wanted to.
Writers couldn't, or artists couldn't agree on how it was supposed to look, so he looked wildly different issue to issue.
Yeah, but bad. Like, I remember every New Avengers book where he was just like, hi, I'm here too.
Yeah.
It was just like... They were like, I don't know.
Also, hey, we didn't get to talk about it because we were really trying to stick to the Steve and the mainline ones. But those Christopher Cantwell, Captain America Underground people, where they were all like, caps of different states and cities. And they all had their own unique looks. Some of those were pretty fucking good. I loved the Rail Rider costume where it's overalls, where he's like a young LGBT teen, protecting other gay street use by like bare knuckle boxing bigots and everything. I'm like, that's pretty good. And the fact that he's like riding the trains like an old timey hobo is like a weirdly beautiful Captain America throwback.
Yes, I like that too.
I think he got like a digital series, Rail Rider, like a backup in something. So clearly they think there's something there with Rail Rider.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have to do another episode. Maybe like alternate Captain Americas. Like,
yeah, that is probably an episode because we could talk like Battle World. We could talk, what is it, Peggy Carter. There's like a whole world of actually really good 1602.
Yeah, that was a fun suit. 343 Burning Legion. They brought back the Bucky suit for the miniseries with Miles Morales because everyone used to joke about how the design accidentally incorporated the Puerto Rican flag.
Oh my god, it does too with the triangle. It absolutely is the Puerto Rican flag.
There you go. That's how you do it, because I think Miles Morales was Captain America in one. Remember they did all those like, what if Miles Morales was Captain America, or what if he was some like Wolverine and crap?
Yes. But people only remember the Thor one because it was wildly racist.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah, no one proofread that.
Yeah, Jam Call X Cap Falcon suit is just one of those 90s action missions toy design trend suits, but taken in to fit Sam like a hand-me-down from Steve's closet. I've never been a fan.
Maybe that's why I liked it, because it looks like an action figure. It's aerial assault Cap.
It really does look like aerial assault Captain America.
And maybe that's why I kind of love it.
Yeah, but I don't like the later Cap Falcon suits. Like, I don't like Sam's other suits later on when they're like, okay, he's not Captain America, but he is kind of, so let's change it up and make it this. Or like because it always feels like a demotion now.
It is. Like, that was a weird time. What was it, like Rodney Barnes wrote that one for like 4 issues where it's like, hey, he's Falcon again, but don't worry, we're giving him, the all-star treatment, we promise.
Yeah.
And then the book only lasted 4 issues. I really enjoy what Tochi Anabuchi is doing right now with it.
And Bryce Harriet reminds us he is 23.
Hey.
Congratulations on being around this long. We really appreciate you watching this long. That's a hell of an achievement for a YouTube channel, especially. And Logan Thomas, hope you guys are both staying safe with the fires. Love Cap's classic suit, a testament to how iconic both the suit and character is. I completely agree.
Well said.
Thank you, Dan Wesley, for your super sticker. Joel, thank you so much for this great topic. I think we got some really, really great conversations out of it, and we got to look at some really fun suits. And really got to hash out exactly what makes Captain America so iconic, or at the very least, look so iconic.
Totally. I love these visual history rankings when we can do these. These are always fun. It's a show that writes itself, basically.
It really does. We do appreciate it. Thank you, History, for allowing us to just co-opt you and use you. But thank you so much to our super chatters for sponsoring today's show. Thank you to everybody who's watching this show. We do appreciate it. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and check out Joel at youtube.com/CapeJoel. And we'll see you guys next time here with another episode of the Elseworlds Exchange. I'm Sal. That's Joel.
Joel.
So long.
Bye-bye.